Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's TX141 here, also known as Paul, bringing you episode 4 of the World of Tanks series I like to call You What Mate? So what have I got in store for you today? Well, it's a T-44 gameplay on the map Murovanka. I believe it's Murovanka, correct me if I'm wrong. And so, starting off in the northeastern corner of the map, I decide to proceed to the northwestern corner, around the A1, B1 region, because I know there's a good position up on that ridgeline in order to spot the enemy team as they come round the northwestern sector of the map. And I do like the T-44 for its two main qualities: brilliant acceleration with speed, and its gun. Quite a wonderful 100mm LB1 gun, which is really worth the grind, although the grind for the T-44 to take it from stock to fully upgraded condition is a painful one in my experience. So, I start off by making a huge mistake, taking a wild shot at that T-71, because as you're about to see, they spotted me quite well. Yep, I managed to bounce one shell, I think two shells, well I absorb one shell into my track line, and all the other shells go completely wild. And having poked up onto that little ridge, I spot pretty much the entire enemy team coming down this flank, or a good portion of them. As I peer over again, I fire the IS-3, aiming way too far forward, and that caused my 100mm armour piercing round to bounce off the frontal armour. And I keep poking my head over here, I poke once again, and my shell goes into the space section of the IS-3 side armour doing nothing, and I take a nasty hit from what I think is the WoT M8. And I take an even more horrible shot on the side of my armour from, I think it was the VK, although I'm not sure how the heck that shell got over the hill. Still, crazy things happen. So I decide to poke once more, and really now the game comes down to me poking over this ridgeline. Yep, poke, poke, poke. Poking over this ridgeline and keeping an eye on the enemy team. Simply because, well, there's nothing more I can do unless the enemy team really plays aggressively. And as you're going to see here, or perhaps not here, a little bit later on, I start reversing back and outwards just to try and get some shots on the enemy team's side armour. Still, with barely any of the team actually coming down this flank, i.e. my own team, it's very difficult to sort of get an effective shot off. I fire at that KV-4's rear turret armour, or the rear section of the side of the turret, but I know I don't penetrate according to the marker, and also by the fact that KV-4's turret armour is an absolute monstrosity against my 100mm. So really at the moment I've got myself into a bit of a pickle, and so I do what I do best, just keep poking over the ridgeline, said it again, and just trying to spot for the team, spot for our artillery. And as you can see, we're not doing too bad of a job. We just spotted that WoT again, and the T-26E4. But I'm getting more and more conservative just because I've almost lost half my health, and I don't want to lose any more health at the moment because, well, this game isn't even into its adolescence, and I'm already well below full health. And so yes, this game does get a little bit repetitive, but I hope I can bring some more life to it. I keep my eyes on this T-26 Super Pershing. I would love to just have an extra 2 degrees of gun depression in order to shoot them in the back of the turret. Unfortunately, T-44 only comes with -7 degrees of gun depression. It's alright, but it's not perfect, although it helps you get used to the -5 degrees of gun depression on the T-54 and the T-62A. Both wonderful tanks. Now, I'm noticing that these two enemy tanks I keep spotting, or perhaps my teammates have spotted, are taking some damage, so I reverse out and put a nice little cheeky shot into the back of that T-26E4. At which point I drive forward because I know they've probably spotted me, and I just poke over, spotting that IS-6, and also continuing the spots on the T-26 if our own T-26 isn't spotting them. I line up another shot on the cupola of that T-26, while the little weak spots that's available at the front. And I again look over the ridge, just making sure that everything's spotted continuously, even though my teammates are probably doing that work. And I decide to put another shot under the cheek of the T-26, because the IS-6 was on very low health, and I guessed our artillery would probably take a shot at the weaker target. Now what I can assume, that bounce was the result of a WoT shell going straight into the manlet. Well, that's what I think at the time. It sounded as though it penetrated. Well, I don't actually check to see whether it was a penetration during the course of this game, as I normally would. So I have my two teammates pushing way too far forward in my opinion. I poke over this ridge, See the KV-4 and realise it's got its frontal armour pointing in my direction, so there's no chance of me penetrating without using armour-piercing composite rigid. So I reverse back, and I'm thinking, right, stay where you are, because the two tanks you see in front of you and your team, they've gone incredibly far forward, and you might be able to assist them if the enemy tanks come charging in. Because the game's quite close at the moment. We've killed 6, they've killed 7, and an enemy M903 spotted. So I'm thinking, why not, let's throw a shell into it. It's a nice tier 9, hit some good damage points into it. And I spot this SU-152, I believe I spotted it, along with that IS-8. So I put a nice little shell into the SU-152, and I continue to reverse out to get a nice hit on this IS-8, right in the back. Unfortunately, as you can see there, a low caliber shell hit the grass in front of me, so I'm assuming that I've been spotted. But nonetheless, I decide to keep up the pressure. Trying to pick a target here. I put a shell into that IS-8 once again, and I know I've been spotted at this point. But my brain sort of tells me, ignore your instincts, instead just keep going over the hill and get yourself shot. And sure enough, that's about to happen. Oh, not quite yet, but I managed to get a 261 hit into the IS-8. But no, my gut instincts proved right in the end. Well, I believe they proved right in the end. When I poke over the ridge one last time. Taking a shot into that KV-4, and this IS gets spotted, and I believe they've spotted me as well. I request fire at the IS, knowing that our artillery could probably do a good job of knocking them out. I load APCR, I put it into that IS-8, but it doesn't penetrate, and my instincts prove right when that KV-4 puts a shot into my tracks. Fortunately, I was carrying a repair kit, which enabled me to break away, otherwise I probably would have been killed by the IS or the IS-8. So I poke around again. Can't spot anything because of that bush, but I assume the enemy team can't spot me either, so I throw in a wild shot. I doubt it's going to penetrate, but it's probably worth it. Get another nice shot into that IS-8, and at this point I go for the kill shot, and it's the shot that goes into the spaced armour. Just my luck, eh? So now I'm in a bit of a pickle, because all the tanks on this side of the map, i.e. friendly tanks, are dead. All that's left on our team is the artillery, who's done a brilliant job, and our 3 other heavies who are in the centre of the map and migrating over here. Pardon me. So what I'm thinking at this point is, right, well, I can't come down off the hill because I'm going to get ripped to pieces. So instead, I decide to stay on the hill because I know I've got that KV-4 coming at me, and that IS is probably going to come up at me as well. I've got APCR loaded in case the KV-4 comes first, and really at this point, I might as well use APCR because it's going to be a difficult situation nonetheless, and armour piercing probably isn't going to cut it. Although this IS is the first one to come up the hill, and I'm thinking, right, that guy's got no gun depression whatsoever, so track him there. And sure enough, our E75 finishes them off. Likewise, this KV-4 comes up, and I know the KV-4's got absolutely dire gun depression, so I'm thinking, just shoot the tracks, and you've won the game for yourself. Making sure to keep moving, just so the enemy artillery can't finish me off. I break the other track of the KV-4, and I start loading some APCR just to put a couple of penetrating hits into them, because it's very difficult to pen a KV-4 with armour piercing, with only 175 pen. Although there'll be a number of you in the comments probably going, you shouldn't be firing premium rounds. Well, they're not premium if I can buy them with my own money. Not my own money, with my own silver credits. Well, that's my opinion anyway. So having finished off that KV-4, I drive off the hill, celebrating in my head, and typing in thanks to the team for saying good job. KV-4 goes off at me saying that I'm firing gold and therefore I'm a terrible player. Yeah, well. Gotta penetrate you somehow, unless you'd like me to throw the kitchen sink at you instead. That's the way I look at it, folks. If you've got premium, you can use it. But anyway, I just proceed forward. Only the enemy artillery left. And I'm thinking to myself at this point, oh, okay. Right, I'm going to just take a quick shot on the move. Okay, completely missed. Dive away. I don't want to die. And we've got 3 heavy tanks who can do the rest. And with that being said, it's the end of the game. And so, why don't we take a look at some post-game stats? So, from looking at the initial statistics screen, we can see that we earned 75,014 silver credits, and in addition to that we earned 4,431 experience. That is without a premium account, and also to note that the 4,431 experience was due to a ×3 for the first win of the day on a D-Day event. We can see on the top of the screen that we earned ourselves a mastery badge for the T-44, and additionally we got a scout medal, the first of any scout medals I have got using a medium tank, so I was quite proud of this. And we can see, looking on the right hand side, that we detected 9 enemy tanks and did a ton of spotting damage in addition to our penetration damage, with only 1 kill coming on that KV-4 at the end. Moving on, we can see from the second screen, by comparison with our teammates in the enemy team, that our 3,492 penetration damage was complemented by the performance of the rest of our team. It was a very hard fought game, and it was always in the balance all the way through until the end. Still, 1,477 experience is quite the hauling, and so we can say that we sure did carry our weight during that game. Moving on to the final, more detailed statistics screen, we see that we fired 25 shots, with 21 of them making their mark and 16 of them penetrating armour. In total, we did 3,492 damage, receiving 7 hits, 3 penetrating, 4 not. We managed to block 2,550 health points of damage, which I'm quite surprised at in all honesty, although a good portion of that was probably due to that Waffenträger's shot. And we can also see that in the assistance damage category, we did 3,767 health points of damage in combined tracking and spotting, which is why we got our scout medal in the end. Moreover, our total haul of credits was reduced to 42,611 following all resupply and repair, and that's mostly due to the use of a couple of APCR rounds, which are quite expensive. Still, I carry them for those tricky situations. And so that's the end of the episode, ladies and gentlemen. If you've enjoyed this rendition of WoT M8, why not leave a like, comment or subscribe for future World of Tanks content on my channel. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care and see you on the battlefield.